Hello everybody, welcome to my makeup table. Unfortunately, you may hear a little wah 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 because I actually have a spring cold, but I really just wanted to work on a couple of things today. This is not a tutorial. Let's just start with cost of makeup. How do I feel about an expensive brand versus an inexpensive brand? Well, the way I feel about that is that I believe that if you know what you're doing with your cosmetics, you're really going to be able to use just about anything. I have told so many actresses, so many models in my career, hey, you know what? Give me your whole bag of makeup, no matter what's in it, no matter how cheap it is, I will be able to make you look like a superstar, just through blending and the proper tools and the proper placement of that makeup. I actually think probably one of the biggest misconceptions about makeup is the prestige behind the label. So if you are a person who loves their labels, you know, feel free to spend your money however you like. But I just don't always believe that you're going to be getting better quality by doing so. Let's take, for instance, a MAC palette. Now, I always say that I adore palettes. I think that they are the only thing we should really invest in when we buy makeup, because it's giving you so many choices and giving you a really super bang for your buck. Why would you buy one eyeshadow when you could get four? And it's just so ridiculous to carry around or to try to pack all of these single eyeshadows when you can have a really beautiful palette, a MAC palette. So here we've got a quad. We've got all of these lovely colors, and it is wonderful. They travel well. You can build these palettes however you like. MAC allows you to put whatever colors you like in there. So these are all the MAC palettes, but you know, here's my question. What is the difference between that palette and, say, a quad like this? Now you can see I've traveled with this a lot and used it a lot on a lot of jobs. But what really is the difference when you're using something like this? It's price, really. So you're going to get the same performance out of most eyeshadows. There just is not that much difference between one color and another, especially if you're doing neutrals. So if you are doing neutrals, that's a great place to start. Sorry, I'm making so much noise here. It's a great place to start collecting your neutrals. To give you an example of how I feel about price comparison, this is an absolutely beautiful palette of neutral shades. You do have some plum and purpley tones, but for the most part, these are very neutral, everyday colors. Why would you spend more than $15 on a palette when you can get something like this? It's so valuable. So why would you spend $40 or $50 on a So I've got a few pet peeves about makeup as well. I think that it's very easy to make mistakes only because we get locked into a certain look. You know, we look at ourselves every single day and we really do lose our objectivity. That one of my biggest pet peeves is to be able to see someone's lip liner. That drives me crazy, especially if it's a completely different tone. It's one thing to have a nicely defined mouth and a spot of gloss in the center of the mouth. I like that. That's okay. But when you've got a really defined lip liner and a different color lipstick, that is not cute. Now, there are some things that you can do when you've applied a lipstick. You can trick the eye with the same tone and just line that part of your lip. So what that's going to do is it's going to make your lower lip look plumper. And just this part of the lip as well, the Cupid's bow. So what you're really trying to do is create a shadow here by using, by using your darkest lip liner right underneath. Another pet peeve of mine are stamped on eyebrows that have not been properly shaded. So let's say, for instance, you use a brow pencil that's fine. There are many beautiful brow pencils. One of my absolute famous eyebrows are not supposed to look like you've drawn them on. They're supposed to look powdery and soft and natural. So it's not wrong to use an eyebrow pencil. It's not wrong to use eyebrow powder. It's really about the blending of whatever product you use. One of my absolute favorite eyebrow pencils is by Rimmel. I use the color Hazel, even though I have very, very dark eyebrows. I don't care for heavily drawn on, overly architectural eyebrows. I think that it's very distracting, and I think that we need to really adhere to the principle of a good eyebrow. Which really is, that's where it should start. You put it in line with your nose and the inner canthus of your eye. Your arch should be over the pupil of your eye. And your brow should end right where your nose and the outside of your eye form that angle. That is the anatomy of a perfect brow. Also, the color cannot be too crazy and distracting. So you want to pick a brow pencil that is just a little bit lighter than your natural brow hair. Otherwise, it's going to really dominate
Now, once
your
I
brow.
pencil,
Then I take a brush and I brush it in. So I'm actually really working a lot of that product into the skin, and it looks so much softer. So when you do your brows, you really want to keep that in mind, that you are trying to make it look like you have a beautiful, full, thick brow without people noticing that you have eyebrow makeup on. Now, that being said, some of you actually may be extending your brow to be too long. That's not a good thing either. So this really is your perfect measurement, right in line with your nostril and the end of your eye. That is how you measure your brow. Another common mistake in makeup is applying way, way too much mascara. There is a trick when you are applying mascara. You want to sort of dip off the end and really go in and wiggle, 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 wiggle. But if you see any deposits of mascara that are looking clumpy, you can go back in and take your brow brush and literally just flick them off the ends. I used to work with an actress that would take a needle and separate all of her lashes with the needle, right? I think we've got really, really good mascara wands now. I don't think that that's completely necessary to have to do that, but we all have our little ways. And those little ways sometimes really serve us in the long run. A great tip that I like to use when I have inadvertently touched my eyelid or touched someone else's eyelid with mascara, it's very easy to just make a boo-boo, but I'm going to warn you against something. The worst thing you can do, especially once you have all your eyeshadow on and your makeup looks beautiful, and then obviously your mascara is your last step, and you touch the mascara to your skin, don't do anything to it. Just wait till it dries completely, and then you can just go in and take your nail, and you can literally just flick it right off once it's dry. It has to be dry. I'm sure this tip a lot of you may know, but some of you may not, so I like to cover all nice little things that make our makeup go on so much nicer. So let's say that you're doing a smoky eye. Well, the one thing you want to do is protect all of those little dust particles from reaching under your eyes. A lot of makeup artists will tell you to do your concealer and your foundation after you do your eyes. I'm not really in agreement with that. I like to get the eyes really, really nice after the concealer and the foundation is on, because it gives me an all-over better look to work with. So let's say you are doing a smoky eye. You're going to take a powder puff and hold it while you are doing your smoky eye. That way, if anything falls, it falls onto your powder puff, and it's all caught so nicely there that you never have to really do any cleanup. So that's just a little trick that we as makeup artists use, and you can get it in really into nice areas, so you don't have to be afraid of making a mess. There's another tool that I like to use. It is just a common double-tipped sponge applicator, And I really like to use this to clean makeup up once I'm finished. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this and dip it into some water, and then you can really get to work at removing any little boo-boos or soften some of the lines that you've created. You can take it back and kind of smooth out a makeup in this fashion. So a double-tipped applicator is always a handy little tool. I know many of you know this, but unruly eyebrows are something that is really, they could be quite annoying. And some people know this trick, some people don't. So I'm just kind of going over the basics so that I'm sure not to forget anything. You're going to take a clean mascara wand. You're going to spritz it with a little bit of hairspray, and you're going to set your brows that way. Your brows won't move all day if you don't touch them. So it's a nice little trick, especially for film work when, especially if you have bangs. A lot of times my brows will be disturbed because my hair will move my brows. So you just go in and seal them with a little hairspray and a mascara wand. That's it. I think another common mistake that we make, especially if we want to cover a blemish, is that we think we have to put the concealer on first, and that's actually not true. So what you want to do if you have a blemish is you want to put all of your makeup on first. Your concealer, your foundation, your powder, and then you're going to go back in and refine those little areas with your concealer and a concealer brush. So we're just literally going to tap into the product and dab on and mold in with your fingertip. It's really simple, and it really is much more effective, because what I've seen people do is they go and they put the concealer on a spot, then they put their foundation on, and they rub the concealer right off. So this is a really nice little trick. And mold in with your finger. The heat of your finger really helps to kind of seal in, and so you don't see that whitish mark if you like, you can go after you've applied the concealer and just dip into a little powder. Voila! No more pimple. Now, here's a tip that might sound a little crazy, but honestly, I have done this for so many years, and some people find it really funny, but I just find it a really good tool to camouflage something on my face. So let's say, for instance, I have a pimple, which I actually have a pimple. So what I'm going to do is take a black eyeliner, and I'm going to give myself a beauty mark right over the pimple. That way, especially if it's evening, no one is ever going to know that I have a pimple underneath that black beauty mark. They're just going to think that I have a beauty mark. I think it's cute. I've always done this. I just think it's a cute little trick. Sometimes people will come up to you and give it one of these numbers, and you kind of have to be like, hey, 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 that's my beauty mark. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that you did learn a few tips that you can bring to your own makeup table. Some things you may know and have heard thousands of times before, but hopefully I brought you one thing that you didn't know about. That's always my goal, and obviously if you have any questions, you can always ask them, and I will be filming more videos when I feel just a little bit better. The springtime cold is kind of getting in the way of me feeling like I have a whole lot of energy. But hopefully this video was fun today. I certainly enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.